Hey guys, it's Mr. Bosherm, and I'm going to show you real quick today how to do your next skill, which is going to be the Hypotenuse-Leg Theorem skill. Now, the good news is that IXL does not make you prove, it just makes you apply this theorem so that we can solve for missing pieces on the triangle. So I'm going to show you how we do that. So quick reminder, the HL theorem stands for hypotenuse leg, which is what it says at the top. And that basically means that if you have a right triangle and you have the longest side and one of the shorter sides congruent to another triangle, so essentially like two congruent sides, then you know that the triangles are completely congruent. Okay, so if you have two congruent sides, then you know that the triangles are just congruent overall. So we're going to take advantage of the fact that we have two right triangles and that these two sides should be the same since the triangles are the same. Okay, so let me show you what I mean. So let's get rid of all this. So the way that I go about thinking about this is that if I know that these two triangles are congruent, or we're trying to, make them congruent, then my shortest side here on this first triangle is going to line up with the shortest side on the other triangle. Well, if these two things are congruent or the same, well, that means that 20, the side from the first triangle, has to equal S. So now I already know that 20 equals S. So that would be my first answer here. S equals 20. Similarly, if I have the longest side on this triangle is T, that's going to correlate to the longest side on the other triangle, which is 48. So since I know that these triangles are congruent by hypotenuse leg, I know that these sides must be congruent. So I have 48 as the T value. And that's really it, right? We know that we're trying to make them congruent using this theorem, so we know that those sides have to be congruent. All right, cool. Now, obviously, that's not going to be the whole lesson, right? It's got to ramp up the difficulty. So how do they do that? Well, let me move on to my next picture here. And let me write on it here. So the way that they're going to increase the difficulty is that they're going to start adding in equations. Okay, so let's try one with equations. Same ideas as before. I have this shorter side on this triangle. That's going to line up with the shorter side on this triangle. So I got 22 is going to be the same thing as S plus 20. So 22 equals S plus 20. S plus 20 minus 20 minus 20. And you guys probably already can tell that S just equals 2, right? Pretty simple. Then we go to the other side. Let me actually just draw a box around that for later. All right, cool. Then we go back and we say, okay, well, my longest side on this triangle is T plus 49. Longest side on this triangle is 50. So I can write T plus 49 is the same thing as 50. And we can already tell that means T equals 1, right? If we subtract 49 on both sides. So your answers, 1 and 2. All right, cool. Still not too bad. So let me show you what you might run into in the later problems. Now, I'm only going to focus on, I think, what will get you up to like an 80, maybe a 90 today, because that last set of problems is a little bit more involved, and I want you guys just to kind of get through this first section first, and then I might make a video on those harder questions tomorrow. Okay, so if you struggle on those, that's okay. I'll show you how to do that tomorrow. But the level that you have to get to for today's skill would be something about this level. So still same idea. I got two right triangles, and I know that they're congruent using a hypotenuse leg. So I'm saying, well, if I want these two triangles to be congruent, then I need these two short sides to be the same. So how can I do that? Well, 17 would need to equal S plus 4. We could subtract 4 on both sides. And we get, 17 minus 4 is 13. and that would equal S. Okay, so there we go, we got S. Then we go to our longer side, and notice that it's using S and T. So it's a good thing that we already found S, otherwise this would have been a little difficult, right? So you're going to have to sometimes get one of the variables first to solve the harder problems later. So in this scenario, these two longer sides, we have 7S plus T minus 48 should be equal to 8T plus S plus 23. Alright, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use that value of S that I got earlier. So I got 7 times 13 plus T minus 48 equals 8T plus 13 plus 23. Okay, now I'm going to do some simplifying. So let's see, I'll put all my T's over here. Or, sorry, not 9T. Alright, I'm going to subtract this T on both sides, so I end up with 7T over here. I'm going to, might have to pull out Desmos, but I have this 7 times 13 minus the 48 still left over. I have the minus, I'm going to subtract this 13, I'm going to subtract this 23 to cancel these out and bring them over here. So let me actually rearrange this a little bit. So minus 13 minus 23 equals 7T. Okay, that was a lot, I know. But working on an iPad is a little difficult sometimes, so let me just bring this over here. Okay, so let's plug all this into Desmos, which I should have one. So 7 times 13. Can get rid of all this. So we got 7 times 13. We get 91. So 91 minus, I believe it was 48 minus 13. And then what was our last number? 23 minus 23. And, well, what do you know? We get 7. So our final answer here, once we do all the simplifying, is that this turns into 7 equals 7T. Therefore, T equals 1 once I divide by 7. Okay? So as you can see, towards the end, a little bit more work, just more algebra. I know it's probably a little rough, me writing only this little space. Give me a few lessons, and I promise I'll get better at using this little space on the iPad. But hopefully you guys get the idea, right? Short side goes with the short side, they need to be the same. Longer side goes with the longer side, needs to be the same. How do I know that? Because they're saying, hey, how would you make the triangles congruent? Well, if I want them to be congruent, their sides have to be the same, right? So basically setting up some equations and solving. See if you can at least get to a 90. It might get a little difficult after 80. So I'll check in on where you guys are on getting towards a 90. And if you guys need extra help on the last couple ones, I'll do that tomorrow. All right? So good luck. Send me questions through Canvas if you have any. And other than that, that's it. So have a good day.